Colors aren't just shades, they're vibrations, waves of energy that shape the way you think, feel, and even the reality you create. Every shade you surround yourself with carries a hidden influence, either fueling your mind with clarity and motivation, or quietly pulling you into a state of fatigue and stagnation. But what if I told you there's one color in particular that could be working against you? A color so common, so deeply woven into your environment that you don't even notice its impact. Stick around until the end so that it doesn't drain you out anymore. Colors are much more than just what we see. They are energy in motion, constantly influencing our emotions, thoughts, and even our ability to shape reality. Inspired by the studies of Joe Dispenza, what you're about to discover will forever change the way you look at your surroundings. So, grab a cup of tea and settle in. This is Inner Philosophy. When I started researching this, I realized something fascinating. Colors aren't just something we see. They are pure energy in motion. Each color emits a unique vibration, a frequency that doesn't just pass through our eyes, but also impacts our brain, our emotions, and even our spiritual energy. Think of colors as silent music, constantly resonating within us, whether we are aware of it or not. Let's take green, for example. Think about what happens when you are surrounded by nature, walking through a forest, sitting in a park, or even just looking at a plant on your desk. Something changes inside you, doesn't it? That sense of calm, that feeling of balance, as if everything is okay for a moment. That's no coincidence. Green symbolizes life and renewal. It emits a frequency that harmonizes your internal energy with the world around you. It's as if green reminds you that everything in life has a natural rhythm, that you can breathe and trust in the flow of things. Now imagine the opposite, a dark environment filled with black. Maybe it's a dimly lit room, a space decorated entirely with dark colors, or a cloudy, overcast day. How does it make you feel? If you're like me, you might start to notice a kind of heaviness, as if the space is absorbing your energy rather than giving it to you. That's no coincidence either. Black, being the absence of light, has the opposite impact of green. Instead of harmonizing, it absorbs. Instead of connecting, it isolates. But it's not just about how we perceive it. By influencing our emotions and energy, colors end up shaping the way we interpret and project our reality. Imagine your life as a blank canvas. Every thought, every emotion, and every color that surrounds you is a brushstroke. But what happens if that canvas is dominated by a single color? What if that color, though powerful, begins to saturate everything to the point of imbalance? That's exactly what happened to me. The color that dominated my surroundings made me feel strong, confident, even mysterious. But what I didn't realize was that while it gave me that sense of control, it was also draining my energy. It was as if that color was slowly dimming the spark I needed to move forward, to create and to connect. The impact of colors in our lives isn't something we can ignore. They're much more than a matter of aesthetics. They are part of an energetic language that influences how we feel, how we think, and how we interact with the world. Once I understood this, I couldn't help but wonder what message I was sending to the universe with the colors around me. Were they helping me move forward, or were they an obstacle I hadn't even noticed? That question led me to transform my relationship with colors and eventually my entire life. Let me be completely honest with you, I love that color. It was hands down my favorite. It was everywhere in my life, my clothes, my office, the furniture in my home, even the smallest details like the accessories I wore. There was something about black that made me feel powerful and sophisticated, like I was in complete control. It was a color that conveyed mystery, authority, and an air of untouchability. But the more I incorporated it into my life, the more something strange began to happen. At first I didn't notice it, I just felt more tired, less motivated, and most importantly, more closed off to new ideas. It was as if a dark cloud was constantly following me around, covering any spark of inspiration or enthusiasm. At first I attributed this heaviness to the usual stress of everyday life, but then I started to see a pattern. The exhaustion, the lack of energy, it was most intense in the places where this color dominated. My workspace, my wardrobe, even my personal spaces, it was everywhere. And the more I surrounded myself with it, the more I felt like I was sinking into a space that drained me instead of fueling me. I couldn't ignore it any longer. I decided to dig deeper, and what I discovered blew my mind. This color, while powerful and elegant, had an energetic influence that was impossible to overlook. In excess, it acted like a black hole, not just metaphorically, but quite literally. It absorbed light in both a physical and energetic sense, dimming the brightness in the spaces it occupied. Where there was too much of it, there was less vibrancy, less warmth, less life. The psychology of color explains this phenomenon well. This color is deeply associated with power and authority, which makes sense. When we wear it, we project strength, confidence, and presence, but it is also linked to deeper, heavier emotions, introspection, isolation, and in some cases even sadness. It's a color that invites reflection, but can also push us toward retreat. In small doses, this color can be incredibly useful. It can provide a sense of stability, a space to withdraw and regain strength. But when it becomes the dominant force, that refuge can turn into a prison. And for me, that's exactly what was happening. Instead of helping me move forward, it was holding me back, disconnecting me from people, limiting my creativity, and draining the energy I needed to thrive. Once I understood this, everything started making sense. I realized that this color, while powerful, was never meant to be the centerpiece. It needed balance, a counterpoint to bring contrast, life, and movement. But in my world, it had taken over, and the price I paid for that supposed sophistication was far too high. Letting go wasn't easy. This color had been a core part of my identity for years. It was what I felt most comfortable in, what I surrounded myself with daily. But little by little, as I introduced other colors and reduced its presence, I began to feel something shift, a lightness. It was as if I had opened a window in a dark room and let the sunlight pour in. Suddenly, energy started flowing. Ideas that once felt stagnant came flooding back. And most importantly, I felt more connected to myself, to the people around me, and to the rhythm of life itself. This color is still a part of my life, but now I use it with intention. I understand its power, but I also recognize its limits. It has its place, but it can't be the only thing around me. And if you've been feeling something similar, if you've noticed a heaviness you can't quite explain, it might be time to take a step back and look at how much space this color occupies in your life. Is it serving you, or is it holding you back? The shift started subtly, almost like an experiment. After realizing how much this color had consumed my energy and my surroundings, I decided to bring in something new, something different. I wasn't sure if it would actually make a difference, but the results were undeniable. Green, the color of renewal and balance, was the first I introduced. Like I said in the beginning, since green can't be added in large amounts to fit in the aesthetics, I started small, adding plants to my space. At first they were just decorations, but soon they became something more. Their presence alone seemed to change the atmosphere of my home. It felt lighter, calmer, almost as if the energy was flowing differently. Every time I looked at them, I felt grounded. Their steady growth reminded me that life has a natural rhythm, one that doesn't need to be forced. And on days when stress weighed me down, just watering them felt like an act of self-care, a small ritual that brought me back to the present moment. Green became my anchor, a color that restored my sense of balance when everything felt chaotic. And that was just the beginning. Because once I understood the true power of color, I knew that bringing harmony back into my life was only a matter of choice. When everything around me felt overwhelming and stagnant, I decided to introduce yellow into my surroundings. It wasn't a drastic change. I simply added a yellow lamp to my desk, a suede notebook, and a few small decorative details. But the effect was immediate and powerful. Yellow is a color that quite literally lights up a space and in turn lights up the mind. Every time I saw it, I felt a spark of energy, like a gentle push forward when I was stuck in a rut. The tasks that had once felt exhausting or impossible suddenly seemed manageable. My mind became clearer, my focus sharper, and I felt as though someone had switched on a light in a dark room. I remember one specific day when I had to make an important decision, and I found myself completely frozen, unsure of which path to take. As I sat at my desk staring at that yellow notebook, something inside me shifted. It was as if the color itself was encouraging me to trust my instincts and take the next step. That's when I realized that yellow wasn't just about brightness, it symbolized hope, clarity, and the ability to navigate through uncertainty. It taught me that even in the darkest of times, there is always a spark of light. You just need to look for it. While yellow brought clarity, I knew I needed something more, something to fuel my drive and push me toward action. That's when I turned to red. I was cautious with it, knowing that red is an intense color, and too much of it can be overwhelming. So, I introduced it strategically. A red cushion on my chair, a red shirt for important meetings, and a few red details scattered throughout my space. The impact was undeniable. On days when I felt unmotivated, red gave me the strength to move forward. It was as if every time I caught a glimpse of it, an inner voice reminded me, "Come on, you can do this." I remember the first time I truly felt its effect. I had an important meeting, one that I had been anxious about for weeks. As I put on my red tie that morning, I could feel a shift in my mindset. Instead of hesitation and doubt, I felt confidence and determination. That meeting turned out to be one of the best I had ever conducted. I realized then that red doesn't just symbolize power, it instills it. However, I also learned that red needs to be used in moderation. It's like an accelerator, pushing you forward with incredible force. But if you let it take over completely, it can become overwhelming and even draining. Used wisely, though, red has the power to ignite passion, determination, and the courage to take bold steps. Each color I introduced into my surroundings played a different role, but together they created a perfect balance that transformed my energy and the way I lived. It became clear to me that colors aren't just visual tools. They hold an energetic power that can shape our emotions, productivity, and overall well-being. Green gave me a sense of calm and balance, yellow brought clarity and optimism, and red motivated me to act with courage. Together, they formed an environment where I felt more aligned with myself, my goals, and the world around me. It was as if I had unknowingly built a support system, not through people or routines, but through the energy of colors. Just as colors can harmonize a space, powerful ideas can harmonize the mind. When we understand the influence of our surroundings, we gain the ability to shift our own energy in ways we never thought possible. And if you've ever felt like something in your life just isn't flowing the way it should, maybe it's time to take a closer look at the colors around you. The changes I made weren't complicated, but they had a massive impact. These small steps helped me shift my energy, unlock my creativity, and feel more aligned with my goals. The first step in making a change is to take inventory of the colors in your life. Start by simply observing your surroundings, your home, your workplace, even the colors of the clothes you wear most often or the apps on your phone. Pay attention to what shades dominate your environment and how they make you feel. In my case, I realized that black and dark tones had taken over. At first, it seemed normal to me, but the more I paid attention, the more I saw how these colors made my space feel heavy and dull. It was as if my environment was mirroring the mental blocks I had been struggling with. Once I became aware of this, I made a list of the colors I was constantly surrounded by and reflected on the emotions they evoked. Did they bring me energy, calm, and clarity, or did they make me feel stuck and uninspired? This initial step felt like a diagnosis, a way to truly understand how my surroundings were influencing me on a deeper level. Once I understood which colors were holding me back, the next step was to intentionally introduce shades that brought positive energy into my life. It wasn't about making drastic changes overnight, but rather about incorporating small, meaningful touches. Now, if you're someone who's ready to dive deeper into aligning your environment with your dreams, comment with the keyword colors, so I know you're committed to this shift. The beauty of color is that there's no single formula that works for everyone. What lifted my energy might not be what you need, and that's okay. The key is to experiment. Try different shades, notice how they make you feel, and adjust your space accordingly. Maybe you thrive in a room filled with calming blues, or perhaps energetic oranges give you the boost you need. The process should be fun and personal. Colors aren't just about aesthetics, they're an extension of your energy. When you choose them with intention, you take control of your environment, shaping it in a way that truly supports your goals. Looking back, I can say with certainty that the colors you surround yourself with have a much deeper impact than most people realize. They are vibrations influencing not just your emotions, but your actions, your mindset, and even your ability to manifest your goals. Before I made these changes, I had never thought about how something as simple as color could be shaping my reality. But once I learned to use color as a tool, my energy shifted. I felt more aligned with my goals, more in control of my environment, and more aware of how my surroundings influenced my state of mind. Now I want you to reflect on something. What colors dominate your environment right now? Are they helping you move forward, or are they keeping you stuck? For me, this wasn't just about making my space look better. It was about energy. It was about realizing that colors are a silent language, constantly speaking to your subconscious, shaping your daily experiences in ways you may not even notice. And once I understood that, I could no longer ignore it. If you've made it this far, it's because you're ready to make a change in your life. I invite you to take a closer look at your surroundings. Observe the colors, reflect on how they make you feel, and take action. You don't need to repaint your entire home or buy a whole new wardrobe. Small, intentional changes are enough to create a noticeable shift. Start by adding a color that inspires you, balancing the ones that feel too heavy, and removing anything that drains your energy. It's a process, but even the smallest steps can lead to powerful transformations. Let me know in the comments, what colors do you use the most in your life? Do you feel that any of them could be affecting your energy in ways you hadn't considered? If you found this video helpful, share it with someone who needs to hear it. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more value-rich content. See you in the next episode.